Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Well, the news is out. Aaron Judge is staying in the pinstripes. He is officially a Yankee once more, and that is because this morning he signed a 9-year, $360 million deal. My goodness. And seriously, it's 7:30 in the morning. The sun is not even up yet, and this deal has been made. I just logged on to Twitter this morning, and boom, the first thing that I see is he is staying. So let's do some quick math, why don't we? Because I don't know what that is off the top of my head. $360 million divided by 9, that is $40 million a year. I think that's the highest AAV ever, if I'm not mistaken. Or at least it's really, really close. Might be the highest position player. That is insane. And I really want to know what your thoughts are on this. I will give you mine. I don't think that this is a great deal long term. I'll tell you why in a little bit, but I'd love to know your thoughts. And I think the main argument against that is going to be, he just was an MVP. Well, is he going to be an MVP for the next 9 years? Maybe so, because he's staying in New York. We'll talk about that though in a second. But what a big piece of news this morning. The original offer was 8 years, $300 million. If you would like to do some math on that, that is $37.5 million a year. And I think that is what Trout is AAV is at. I'm not 100% sure on that, and I don't want to go look it up just to cause this video to go on longer, but either way, that's a lot of money. And so that was the original offer, was $300 million for 8 years. And Judge didn't like it, I guess. He's 30 years old. Let me pull him up here quick. He is 30 years old and 225 days. So he will be 31, I think, when the season starts. So 9 years obviously gets him to 40. And I think that's what he wanted. I think he wanted 9 years. And I actually cannot confirm this. Maybe you guys can help me out in the comments below. The Giants also offered him 9 years, $360 million. I believe, or at least it was in that neighborhood. Maybe it wasn't quite $360 million in a report that I saw yesterday. So this is what you've got. You've got the Yankees coming in maybe a year less than he wants, maybe a little bit lower than he wants in that AAV. He gets an offer from the Giants, and maybe it wasn't as good because obviously he declined it, and for other reasons. He's staying in the pinstripes because that's his team. He is the Yankee. So, that obviously probably plays a huge factor in him staying. But it's definitely interesting to note that the initial offer was a lower value, and it was for less time. And it looked like the Giants were going to match that or give him better. So crazy news, though, this morning that Aaron Judge stays in the pinstripes. That is crazy. By the way, $40 million a year is $110,000. That's 6 digits a day for 10 years. That's crazy. Anyway, the reason I think this is not a good deal, and I'm going to be careful with my words here, Aaron Judge is a superstar, and he's a superstar in New York for a reason. He is one of the best players in the last few years. I mean, he was on the cover of MLB 18, I think. He's been good since then, right? Obviously winning the MVP this last year. He's won the Home Run Derby, Rookie of the Year, 4-time All-Star, 3-time Silver Slugger. What is that? Major League Player of the Year. He's won everything, right? Except for a World Series. But last year, 10.6 WAR in almost 600 at-bats, had 62 home runs. Everyone knows that. He was clearly the home run champion, 311 batting average. He was this close to being that Triple Crown winner, 131 RBI, 1.111 OPS, and a 211 OPS plus. The dude was off the charts. The question is, will he sustain it? And I don't know the science behind these big deals, right? Like, you look at Trey Turner, who just signed a $300 million contract. He's going to be 40 in that contract at the end of that. Harper, I think, is also going to be like 40 at the end of his contract. Trout, same thing. Maybe it's a little bit different for guys like these because they can DH, but clearly your level of talent drops off as you age. Albert Pujols, great example of that. So the reason I say this is not a great deal is because, yes, he's been good. And don't get me wrong, I want to make this clear. He is one of the best players in the league right now. Will he be that same way in 5 years? Just pin this video. Come back and stitch me if I'm wrong. Might be a hot take. But I don't think that he is going to stay on this level. I think it'd be crazy to see him do something like this next year where he hits 60 home runs and bats 211 OPS plus, like 10.64. That is unimaginable to do again. He's not Trout. Let's be honest. He is not Mike Trout. Mike Trout doesn't even put up these numbers every year. So obviously he had a great contract year, and I think that's what's going to carry him for a couple of years. He's also playing in a baby park. So, I mean, like 7 or 8 of his home runs last year literally were only home runs in Yankee Stadium. That's just me not being a Yankees fan. But he's still a very, very talented player, but I don't think he will be that talented for 10 years. You know what I'm saying? He will drop off. And maybe they get 3, 4, 5 good years out of him, and it's so worth it. They win a World Series, whatever it is. But if he starts to decline rapidly, I think that you run into problems of, you just paid this man $40 million a year out of your $170, $80 million because the Yankees have a bunch of money. Like, that's a significant chunk. So that's why, again, leave the question with you is, what do you think of this trade or this deal? I would say in the short term, it is great. Like, give him 3, 4, 5 years. I think he makes this contract worth it, and it probably is worth it. But over the next 5 years after that, I just don't see that level with anybody. To be honest, I'm not a fan of like 13-year deals in general, just because I don't think players are good for that long. Like, they are not the top of their game at 40 years old like they were at 28. So maybe he's the shocker, maybe he's the surprise man, maybe he's the exception, but the dude can hit. There's a DH spot for him for the rest of his life. It's an interesting deal. Let me tell you what. 9 years, he got what he wanted, right? He got what he wanted. That's what's important. He got paid. He deserved it. But will his productivity match the payments going forward? Like I said, just to wrap that all up, I think the next 3 years, 4 years, he will be a stud, and he will make this contract worth it for that time. But I don't think that productivity is going to be the same 10 years from now. Again, come back in that video later. But great news this morning. If you're a baseball fan, this is exciting. Things are starting to happen, of course, with the winter meetings. So I hope you guys do enjoy. We're trying to hit 5,000 subscribers by the end of this year. I hope this video does well and you can do that. But I really appreciate you watching. Make sure to leave a like, subscribe, and we'll see you next time.